A huge polar bear spotted a female with a bear cub. The male began to chase them, but underestimated the cunning and strength of the bear. To protect the cub from a bloodthirsty enemy, she lured the bear up a steep slope, and then with powerful blows on the snow crust dropped a huge snowdrift on the enemy's head. The bear fell down, and the female and her baby got enough time to break away from the enemy. And today we will show you other cases in which females demonstrate incredible courage and resourcefulness to save their cubs. When an elephant and her cub were swimming to cool off on a hot African day, they angered some hippos. These are aggressive territorial animals that do not like uninvited guests. It is difficult for them to cope with an adult elephant, but her baby hippos could simply drown. However, angering the elephant was a very big mistake. A 5-ton angry female went to intercept the hippos and attacked them with all her might. Hippos are also large, but they are about twice as inferior to an elephant. The angry female towers over them like a living mountain. She rams enemies from a running start, crashes into them with her head, and stabs them with long, sharp tusks. The hippopotamuses quickly realized that they had made a mistake in choosing an opponent. Attacking the baby elephant was a big mistake. The mother's rage increased the already huge forces, so the elephant literally scattered the enemies, turning them into a stampede. They will remember this lesson for a long time. Maybe hippos consider themselves the masters of the local territory, but when elephants are here, you need to behave more modestly. The elephant and her baby get safely ashore. The formidable female walks, scanning the surroundings, ready at any moment to rush at the enemy who dared to cast at least one sidelong glance at her treasure. And the baby elephant tries to keep up and stomps after his mother. It's a nice picture, isn't it? Wouldn't you agree that this is effective, and effectively the elephant managed to protect her cub deserves your like, right? When a brown bear is chasing you, this is a big problem. In fact, these predators are much faster than it might seem at first glance. In a matter of seconds, the bear approached the female moose with 2 cubs almost within striking distance. A little more and he will attack the ungulates. If the moose herself has a chance to break away from the chase, then with 2 kids, no. Is it really the only chance to survive by leaving the kids? Except the bear doesn't know who he's messing with. The moose does not even think about running. She does a 180 and goes into a frontal attack directly onto the bear. The predator is shocked, but the ramming attack of the ungulate is a threat that has to be responded to. Under normal circumstances, a bear can take down a moose and kill it. But the situation here is unusual. The ungulate is almost 1.5 times larger than the predator, and the female does not care about the claws and fangs of its enemy. She is ready to ram her opponent and trample him, even if she has to pay with her life in battle, having received fatal damage. But the bear, on the other hand, is clearly not ready to risk his life for just a hearty meal. He retreats. And not once, but twice, because when the predator tries to start chasing again, he has to retreat again. This will not work to make the female panic. She knows who she's fighting for. The male leopard decides to get rid of his competitors in advance, while they are still helpless kittens. The predator finds a den in a tree and notices that the kids were there alone. The leopard quickly climbed up the pole in an attempt to get the kittens with its fangs. But at the last moment, the female came to the aid of her offspring. She noticed the threat in time and flew up a tree with lightning speed, after which she grabbed the enemy, and both predators fell down from a height of about the 2nd floor. Pay attention to how brutally the female throws a more powerful and massive male. In a rage, the predator is ready to fight the enemy to the fatal end. Fighting on the ground is difficult, as both predators are nimble enough to easily survive such a fall. The leopards immediately cling to each other, using all their skill. It remains to be hoped that everything will be fine with the mother and her offspring. A fairly large dog was out walking when he noticed a small kitten. Approaching him was a big mistake. When it comes to protecting offspring, the most ordinary domestic cat can instantly turn into a dangerous fury. The dog's owner probably regretted that he even allowed the animal to approach the outsider kitten. An angry mother who ran into an offender does not care about the superiority of the enemy in mass, strength, and size. She wants to punish those who dare to disturb her baby. It feels like the laws of physics are suddenly being turned off. The cat literally swoops on a 5 times larger dog, ignoring gravity and inertia, pummels it with the fury of a berserker, and with such terrible results as if the claws of a cat are made of steel. She rams the opponent, putting the weight of her whole body into the blow. Bites, and in 1 second strikes a whole series of blows with her paws. At the same time, the cat targets vulnerable points in the opponent's body, in the muzzle, the eyes, and the ears. She tears the skin, trying to cause maximum damage and as much pain as possible. It seems that the cat is not just driving away the dog, but just wants to destroy it. Here, the Doberman just sniffed at the kitten and clearly did not cause him any harm. But the mother cat didn't like this anyway. She goes on the frontal attack. Look at the boldness and audacity with which such a small animal steps on such a strong dog. The cat comes up, assesses the condition of her cub, then turns on the Doberman and hits him in the face with her claws. The dog flies back in surprise. Can you imagine what a cat would do to him if he harmed her baby? It's even getting scary. Here, the kitten was attacked by 3 dogs at once. The hunting instinct woke up in them at the wrong time. They noticed the fright of the inexperienced young animal, began barking, pushing it up against the wall, and gradually squeezing the ring in around its victim. The kitten is shocked by such pressure. Do you feel sorry for him? Well, you'd better take pity on the dogs then, because they do not know who they're messing with. Suddenly, the kitten's mother appears, attacking the cheeky dogs from the rear. The cat rushes at one of the enemies and digs its claws and fangs into its hind legs. The dog falls to the floor in surprise. The dog, inflamed with hunting excitement, tries to switch to the cat, but several ferocious blows that almost knocked out their eyes immediately cool the dog's ardor. The cat was able to put 3 opponents to flight, each of whom was about 4 times larger. Now that's a feat. For African animals, night is not only a time for sleep, but also for the most decisive battles between predators and their prey. This nighttime footage confirms just how much is happening in a relatively small area at night. Hyenas are looking for carrion, lions roam in search of bigger prey, a porcupine decides to sleep, but from time to time is disturbed by predators who need to be punched in the face with needles so that they fall back. Finally, a young lion with a small mane and his sister find prey to their liking. This is a young hippopotamus. The animal is quite large and strong, despite its young age. You gotta admit, when a cub weighs about 1/4 of a ton, it's difficult to call it a baby, even despite its young age. The young lions are having a hard time knocking it to the ground, and the hippopotamus is desperately resisting. But still, against the clawed predators, which are already gradually coming into force, this cub will not stand. Lions act decisively and aggressively, and the mighty young lion grabs the hippo's ears with his fangs, which are his vulnerable zone. The lioness also makes an important contribution to the victory. The claws grab the target, the teeth gradually cover the thick, durable skin of the hippo. A few more minutes and he will be almost finished off, after which the young lions will get lunch for the next couple of days. But the female hippo comes to the rescue at the very last moment. Her cub lasted long enough for her to hear and rush to his call. If you think that the hippos accustomed to the underwater lifestyle on land are becoming slow, just look at the speed with which the female hippopotamus rushes at its enemies. She just runs into them like a truck. The cub hides behind the mother, while the female decides to deal with the aggressors. The lions have to retreat. An adult hippopotamus is too much for them. A similar incident happened here in the afternoon. This baby hippo is really small. It was recently born and is completely helpless against large predators, so it probably wouldn't even last a few seconds. Charming, isn't it? It's hard to believe that in a couple of years it will turn into a giant weighing about 3 tons, isn't it? But that won't be happening anytime soon. Now the mother has to constantly keep him with her, because at that age her cub is a tasty prey for any enemy. For example, a crocodile. The female hippopotamus noticed in time that the reptile was showing unhealthy interest in her baby, and furiously rushed at the enemy. She easily drove away the crocodile, but a lioness was watching this scene. The cub is so small that even one predatory cat is able to cope with it in just a few seconds. The lioness's plan is simple: to rush at the little hippopotamus while her mother is far away, bite the victim's throat, and rush away before the enraged mother tramples on it. Then it will be possible to return to the hunting site after, when the female, upset by the loss of her cub, just leaves. However, the plan fails. The mother is on the alert. The female hippopotamus quickly returns to the cub and intercepts the lioness before she could get close enough to her cub. Raising whole waves, a huge hippopotamus almost catches the lioness. If a predator had fallen into the mouth of an angry female, she would have broken the cat just like a straw. The cat retreats. The female hippo saved her cub from 2 different predators in a row in less than a few minutes. Comparing birds of prey with real fighter planes is not just praise for birds. After all, these creatures are capable of many aerobatics. Pay attention to this hunt, which caught the lens in 2022. Here, the birds demonstrate amazing agility, but the predator wins thanks to virtuoso maneuverability. He performs something like a half barrel, a 180-degree turn so that the wings are directly strictly up and down. At the same time, if the aircraft uses a maneuver for protection in order to get away from the missile, then the bird, on the contrary, in order to attack the target more successfully. At the same time, the predator grabbed the victim only tangentially, so she fights back, even being in the claws of a formidable enemy. We must pay tribute to this brave bird. It will fight for survival until the very end. And although her injuries would hardly have allowed her to fly if she had managed to escape from the grip, she still struggled. And who are you rooting for in this situation? Let us know in the comments. In any case, the bird of prey admires its bravery no less. After all, she did not slow down and used her beak at full speed right in flight. That is, for some time she flew blindly at great speed, risking crashing into rocks. At the same time, when a bird strikes with its claws, the feathers of the victim fly around like some kind of strange fan. And all because of the huge force that the predator puts into each throw. Even if the prey has time to react at the last moment, turns around and meets the enemy with its own claws, this will not slow down our hero, not for 1 second. It suppresses the prey's resistance in an instant. But even knowing the flying skills of falcons and eagles, it is difficult to understand how confident they feel in the air. It seems as if they are not afraid of falling whatsoever. Here, a peregrine falcon attacked another to take away its prey. At the same time, there was no brutal fight. The duel was surprisingly elegant. This duel could be filmed in 2022, and she could win the final competition for the most honest dogfight in the world. It would be much easier to attack the opponent from above. But instead, the falcon flew up to the competitor from below, made a barrel right in flight, hovering with its paws up. In this position, he carefully grabbed the prey right in the paws of the opponent. As a result, 2 birds lost their balance. For most birds, this would have been a fatal ending, but these falcons spent less than a second to restore flight. And then they flew together, competing in the tug of prey. Pay attention that they do not try to hit each other with either claws or beaks. Why do you think these birds are so noble with each other? Is this an instinctive behavior, or a character trait of these individuals? Share your opinion in the comments. Amazing solidarity and honor, which does not negate their commitment at all. Both peregrine falcons risk themselves, but try to keep their prey until the last. Human pilots on their fighters can fly at a speed several times faster than the speed of sound. But they are far from the freedom that these birds know. At the same time, both birds not only survived, but maintained good neighborly relations. One of them unhooked in time, leaving the winner lunch. But with prey, birds of prey do not play chivalrous behavior. Here you can see how parents feed their offspring. Their nest is safely hidden in the thickets. The kids scream and open their mouths as wide as possible to be the first to receive a treat from their parents. But the family ideal is violated by a predator who has found the prey's lair. Parents are not around, they cannot cope with such a threat and had to run. For a carnivorous feathered, this is a real gift. He just takes one of the chicks and takes it to his nest. A light snack for the capture of which almost no effort was spent. If there was such an opportunity, would you intervene in this situation? Answer in the comments. And this duel is one of the coolest aerial duels between a bird of prey that has only been caught in the camera lens lately. The golden eagle is one of the largest and most powerful birds. And for him, even the black vulture is not a fellow, but a potential prey. However, although the golden eagle wants to eat this feathered one, it does not attack it like a defenseless goose. The golden eagle is going on a frontal attack. He flies straight at the opponent and gives him a chance to put his clawed paws forward. What is this, if not the nobility of a real warrior? A powerful blow occurs and both birds collide like two air rams. And then, the golden eagle hits the opponent with a wing from a turn, like a master of some bird martial arts. But the vulture did not lose his balance, the opponents uncoupled. Both survived this fight, which was too close to the ground to continue. True golden eagles are not always so noble. This bird just brushed away the falcon with one lightning strike. So, it's worth remembering, there are always sharper claws and stronger wings. When an eagle knocks down a victim and forces her to ride on rocky ledges, it's spectacular. But in the arsenal of the bird, there are also more impressive techniques for using gravity for their own purposes. Really huge eagles can lift even a fawn or a kid into the air, into a huge height. Then the bird simply releases the prey, and she flies from the height of the 10th floor with a completely predictable ending. The feathered one can only go down and start eating or take the remains of the prey to his nest. This way, it is possible to significantly save energy. The wingspan of some birds of prey can reach 6 or even 6.5 feet, 1.8 or even 2 meters. So it can show that these are massive creatures. They are powerful, but in fact much lighter than it seems. Eagles are 3 or 4 times lighter than wolves, which are comparable to birds in size. So a mountain goat is 5 times heavier than a feathered one. It is difficult to cope with such an opponent. An eagle can cling to him and literally ride him. But in order to defeat the prey faster and more reliably, you have to push it off the cliff. Then you can strike a few powerful blows on the rocks and then throw him into the abyss, if there are no other options. This confrontation looks brutal and epic, especially since the bird is also at risk. She is too close to the ground and will have no time to climb on the wing if the prey can drag him along. But usually this does not happen. Eagles are too experienced and strong predators. Nevertheless, even if a large eagle is crushed to a stone, its bones can withstand such a powerful blow. Look, an eagle saddled a mountain goat. The ungulate in a panic tries to escape along the edge, and the feathered one throws it off balance so that the prey simply breaks when falling from such a steep slope. But instead, the goat hits the rock along with the eagle. Do you think that the bird crashed or turned into a flat pancake like a cartoon character on whom a weight fell? As if not so. The eagle not only survived, but did not even loosen its grip. Of course, due to the relatively small mass, eagles are almost vulnerable, especially on Earth when they are attacked by large predators. The mass of a brown bear can reach half a ton or even more. In fact, the bear has a 100-fold advantage over the eagle. It's like as if a person tried to beat an elephant hand-to-hand. When the female discovered the nest of eagles, she was not afraid to bring her cubs with her for lunch. She was so sure of victory. Even the sharp claws of a feathered bird cannot save the chicks when they are attacked by this mountain of muscles. It is not surprising that eagles do not like bears and can even attack them for no apparent reason. Who knows, maybe a winged predator slapped a bear in revenge for old grievances. However, the eagle may be strong enough to fight back the lioness. Unusual tactics and cunning are used for this. The bird spreads its wings wide. It is too heavy to instantly take off to a great height. If she tries this, the lioness will have time to catch her pouncing from behind. It seems that the feathered creature understands this and does not try to rise into the air. Instead, the eagle spreads its wings on the lioness. So, the bird seems much bigger and does not allow itself to be attacked from the flanks. Of course, paw strikes could crush the wings in a second, but the lioness does not know this. In addition, the eagle rises above the ground enough to get its claws into the enemy. And the cat does not need extra damage. As a result, the